A very good evening and welcome back to Ireland's Weather Channel, bringing you the very latest forecast in the midst of what has become one of the best starts to spring, I think, in quite some time in terms of our weather, in terms of the dryness and also in terms of the amount of sunshine that we've seen right the way across the country. Of course, always welcome coming off the back of the Irish meteorological winter, which is a tendency, as we all know far too well, to be rather gloomy, overcast and quite wet as well. But that's anything from what we're experiencing at the moment. Another beautiful day right the way across the country today. Excellent sunshine, wall-to-wall sunshine in many areas, and temperatures responding to getting up as high as 22 degrees Celsius today in some parts of the country. I think it was Mayo, potentially Newport, that recorded the highest temperature across the country today. We'll check that later on and confirm it, but it looks like 22 degrees Celsius was the highest temperature experienced across the country today. Over the course of the next couple of hours, of course, as we get towards sunset, the temperatures will fall away once again tonight, and they'll lead to some grass frost again in some central inland areas, especially so in the Midlands. So gardeners continue to be alert for that, as any frost-sensitive plants, they could be affected by the fact that temperatures will dip close to freezing in one or two locations. Now tomorrow, again Thursday, another beautiful day right the way across the country. Getting accustomed to this, I feel as though I'm a weather reporter in Spain at the moment as opposed to actually being in Ireland. But certainly another dry day to come across the country tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine again, maybe a little bit extra high cloud about in one or two locations tomorrow, but it's not going to take away from the sunshine. And temperatures again getting up to 21, 22 degrees Celsius in some parts of the country. Certainly very pleasant conditions for this time of the year. And similarly so on Friday, we see excellent conditions once again. We see the sunshine continuing for many, indeed wall-to-wall sunshine once again, but as we said, a little bit of high cloud, maybe not the crystal clear blue skies that we've seen over the last couple of days, as we see a little bit more moisture in the upper atmosphere. But again, it's not going to take away from the sunshine, and feeling very warm once again with temperatures in the high teens or even into the low 20s in one or two locations. Now on Saturday, we see a little bit more of a pronounced change. So we see more cloud developing through the day. Still plenty of good sunny spells to be enjoyed. There will be that extra little bit of cloud around though that may keep the temperatures just a degree or so a little bit cooler. So maybe mid to high teens as opposed to high teens and low 20s. And the potential for some showers developing as we go into the evening and nighttime hours. And that sets us up for, unfortunately, a more pronounced change on Sunday. We see more unsettled weather. An area of low pressure is expected to push up from the south. That will bring with it some heavy pulses of rain at times. The exact location, the timing of that remains to be seen at this stage, but we will firm up on that over the next 24 hours or so. And beyond that, it looks as though we're entering into a more unsettled spell of weather. So our beautiful dry spell, exceptionally dry spell, is coming to an end. We can say that. And as we get into next week, it will be more mixed. Certainly colder temperatures back down towards average for the time of year. And with that as well, we will see more in the way of precipitation too, getting back up towards more near normal rainfall totals for this time of the year. The good news is that it will mostly fall in the form of showers. So in between those showers, we will still have some sunny spells, but noticeably colder, getting back towards, as we said, more seasonal values for the time of year, or even a little bit cooler than average based on some of the weather models we're seeing. They're pulling in more of a northwesterly airflow, and some of those showers potentially even of a little bit of a wintry mix over the very highest of ground. So quite a total change, but I guess that very much is the case during the spring season. We can get many different types of weather during this particular part of the year. Here's hoping that it very much settles down once again, and some of the models indicate that it could just be a temporary blip, that we may see a week of more unsettled weather and then thereafter potentially returning to higher pressure closer to our north, which would keep things more settled as it acts as a block and high pressure system, but that remains to be seen exactly. Of course, we shared a video earlier on of some very inclement conditions in the Canaries at the moment, some showery conditions there. Some of those showers led to a little bit of localised flooding in areas this morning. And indeed, if you are heading off to the Med over the course of the next, I suppose, couple of days, certainly into the weekend, there is going to be more unsettled weather across parts of Spain and Portugal. I know we've one very interested member tuning in to this particular forecast on account of checking out the weather for an area in Portugal next week. So a little bit mixed to start the week, but improving then as we go through the week. So almost the flip side of our weather conditions here. Generally speaking, this time of the year, if it's settled here, it's unsettled in Spain and Portugal. If it's unsettled here, which very often is the case, it can be more settled in that region. But this particular time of the year is, of course, their wet season during the months of April into May. It dries off very much so for the summer, and then we see secondary wet season typically through the second half of September or into October. So just something to be aware of in future if you're booking holidays to the Mediterranean region at this time of the year. Ireland's Weather Channel is getting out and about again tomorrow. We always love doing that, and we're heading once again to beautiful Balmullet and indeed to Blacksod, where we will be joining Mick Keane of the Blacksod Sea Safari, and we will be heading off to the Iniskia Islands off the coast. So we'll be bringing you a special forecast from what is now a series of uninhabited islands, but was once home to a thriving fishing community located a couple of kilometers off the coast of the Balmullet Peninsula. So stay tuned for us tomorrow. We'll hopefully bring you some of the experiences. I know Mick is an expert guide in that area, so kind of any of the sea life that's going on, and indeed the culture and the history associated with the island. So we'll have a little report about that tomorrow. Really looking forward to bringing you that. But for now, wherever you are across the country, I'm looking at my windows, beautiful blue skies outside. Be sure to enjoy the very pleasant conditions, and I'll be back to speak to you once again later on tomorrow morning at around about 7 or 7:30 with a text update, and we'll have that special forecast for you tomorrow afternoon coming live from the Iniskia Islands off the coast of Mayo. Have a lovely evening, and I'll talk to you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.